Hey guys, how's it going? It's your host, Braden Logue. We got Jim Logue here on the Beer League Beauties podcast. This episode is sponsored by Green Gladiator here. Not going to drink it because it's kind of late. We got Jim Logue, Boston College legend, USA Olympic team, 1968. He's got a lot of stories to tell us, but we'll only take a little bit out of your time. So you coached my dad in high school, and you coached a lot of others that have went to the NHL. How was that coaching two of your sons in high school?
Yeah, that was a thrill for me to coach my own kids, but they were part of a real good high school team that we ended up with 7 kids that played D1 hockey. 2 of them ended up playing in the National Hockey League. Stephen Hines, who went to Boston College, and Eddie Ronan, who went to the enemy, BU. He ended up winning a Stanley Cup with the Montreal Canadiens. And a number of the other players that played D1, we had Andy Hines, Stephen Hines' brother, and Robbie Cheever's, Jerry Cheever's son, who played at Boston College. And your dad played a little bit at Merrimack College before going to Salem State. And Chris played some at Notre Dame. And Mike Cavanaugh, who's now the coach of UConn, he played at Babson at Bowdoin, because he wanted to play football and hockey, and he ended up being captain of both teams up there. But he was definitely a D1 player as well. So that was a good team.
Nice. That's awesome to hear. Did you guys win a state championship?
No, we lost in the Boston Garden in the finals, but we had everybody back the next year and lost it to the team in overtime that won the state title. We had beaten them twice during the year. We only had 2 losses all year. So that was a real good team as well.
Wow, it's awesome. It's a cool experience to have your son, coaching your son. I got to have it with my dad too. Follow his footsteps a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I was probably a little hard on him in time. I don't know about your dad being hard on you, but I certainly, your dad was a tough, hard-nosed hockey player that sometimes took bad penalties, so I had to get a little tough on him.
Oh, I think that's the same thing with me. He was tough on me back in the day. Stupid penalties.
Tough love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pushes you to be your best self. So anyway, after that, let's go back in time, back to your college days at BC. So you were there for 4 years?
I was there for 4 years. I played, in those days, freshmen couldn't play varsity. So you had a full freshman year. And it was good for a lot of people to be able to develop. But I played 3 years at Boston College on the varsity level. So
Wow.
I started for 3 years. Yeah.
Sweet. And were you wearing a mask back then?
I was wearing a mask, but the most stitches I ever got was with the mask on. I got a skate behind the mask right along the side. I got 85 stitches.
Wow.
So it kind of didn't sever the facial nerve, but it partially did. So they had to put it all back together.
Wow. And how did that whole scene unfold?
I was given the last rites on the ice, so I lost so much blood so quick that I basically passed out. When I came to, they had a couple of doctors hitting pressure points, and I guess they had a couple of towels that were as red as a lobster with all the blood.
Wow. Good thing you're still here.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And so back in your college days, who was your favorite You probably definitely have a lot of favorite teammates, but who's one guy that sticks out to you in your college days?
Tom Red Martin, who was turned out he was my best friend. Played a lot of golf together. We were teammates playing golf throughout the country. But he was a two-time All-American. He was also an Olympian.
Nice. Gil Martin of the Valley Forum.
No, Tom Martin.
Oh, sorry.
No relation to the Gil Martin.
Sorry. Alrighty. That's awesome to hear. So after that, you had a little time with the USA team, correct?
I did. Yeah.
Nice. You some big names on that team. You got Herb Brooks with you.
Herb Brooks, who ended up being the coach of the Miracle team in 1980. He was my teammate on a U.S. national team as well as the Olympic team. But also, a couple of names that hockey people would know is Lou Nanne, who ended up playing with the Minnesota North Stars. Terrific player for them. Ended up being a general manager.
Yep.
And of the North Stars, and Larry Plow, who ended up playing with the old Montreal Canadiens. And Larry ended up being the general manager of the St. Louis Blues for 16 years. So they are hockey names, still good friends. Unfortunately, we lost Herbie Brooks in a car accident a number of years ago. But yeah, good memories.
Nice. That's amazing. That's like going back into history right there. Getting to hear about them, hear about all those guys. So what was one of your favorite moments? Was there a goal or a fight or something that happened?
Well, we had talked a little bit about was there fighting in those days, and basically there wasn't. High school, college, you'd be suspended for a couple of games, and if it happened a second time, you might get suspended for the year. But one time, we were touring Europe prior to the Olympics, and we're playing the Germans in a little village called Bad Tolz, and we kind of figured it out after a period that they had a defenseman that when the guys were forechecking on him, he'd actually shoot it at your face. And so the second night, we were aware of it all, and he did it to Herbie Brooks, and Herbie came out, and a fight ensued, and then the whole benches cleared, and the fans were throwing bottles, and we went off the ice, and we found out after everybody was almost getting ready to take showers that the Germans were going to renege on paying the money to the team that was part of our expense money. So we ended up going back out on the ice, finishing the game.
Wow. Yeah. So big old Donnybrook, get off the ice and then go back on.
Exactly.
Finish the game.
Exactly.
Old-fashioned hockey right there. Wow. Oops. So that's awesome to hear that. That's pretty cool. So were you at that 1980 Olympics, like the Miracle, the classic Miracle game?
I wasn't there for the miracle game against the Russians, but I was there for the first 3 games up in Lake Placid. Herbie had tickets for me and 2 friends, so we went up there. But I had to get home because your dad and my other son, Chris, Jude's brother, we had a weekend. Basically, it was a peewee tournament. So I was coaching that team. I had to get home for the weekend.
Yeah. What was it like hearing about that win?
Well, it was on TV, but it was time delayed. So I had already known the results. But yeah, that was awesome.
Wow. Huge staple in history right there.
Oh, for sure. They still call it the biggest upset in sports ever.
I know. Wish the Celtics did that last night, huh?
Oh God, painful.
Yep, painful to watch. But so after your stint with USA Hockey, you went on to do some coaching at Boston College for 20 years, assistant, or the goalie
As a
coach,
goalie
assistant.
coach, volunteer coach, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, 20 years from '93 to 2013. We were in 11 Final Fours and a 15-year stint there, and won 4 national titles. Uh, the first one was probably um, the best because Boston College hadn't won a national title for over 50 years. And my sophomore year at BC, we were in the Final Four, but we got beat by Michigan State 3-2. So it was exciting because it was the first time in over 50 years, and we had been in the finals 3 years in a row prior to that, losing in '98 in overtime at the Boston Garden to Michigan in overtime. So fast forward, the next year we lost to North Dakota, and then the next year we lost to Maine in overtime, and then 2001 we were leading 2-0 with 4 minutes to play. We were winning 2-0 with 4 minutes to play, and North Dakota pulled their goalie with 4 minutes to play, got a goal to make it a 2-1 game, put the goaltender back, pulled him with a little over a minute to play, and tied the game with 20 seconds, which was, oh God, here we go again. And anyways, in overtime, we got a sensational goal by Chris Kolanos, who ended up in the National Hockey League, and he got a pass from Chucky Kobasu. And he went in alone. He was a tall, like 6'3", had a big wide dribble like Mario Lemieux, and he ended up beating the goaltender, and the celebration began.
Throwing the gloves.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And so you've won 4 national champions, correct?
We did. We won that was in 2001 when I'm talking. Then we won in 2008, 2010, and 2012. A name you've heard. We were winning 2-1 in the finals with about 12 minutes to play, and Johnny Gaudreau, you've heard that name, Johnny Hockey, got a sensational goal to make it 3-1. We got an open net goal, ended up winning 4-1. So yeah, that was the 4th one.
Yep, that was awesome to watch.
Yeah,
and it's been a cool childhood for me because I've been able to go to the Boston College hockey rink and skate on that ice, and it was cool to kind of experience that, and also after the games be able to go into the locker room and meet all these awesome players. One guy that sticks to my memory is Johnny Muse.
Oh yeah.
Favorite BC hockey player. I played with him this summer or last summer with Paul Vincent.
Oh,
that was
okay,
cool to see
sure.
him.
Yeah, Johnny Muse won 2 national titles in the net.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a great college
Muse.
career.
Yep. And it's pretty cool that, as a kid to look up into the rafters and see Logue right there, see a number. So that's something I'll always remember. But can you tell us about, some great hockey players on, BC?
Like in
There's so many, but
at one point we had 27 players playing in the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
But names that real hockey fans would know that starting with Brian Giunta, was a great player. Brooks Orpek, Rob Scuderi, Mike Motto, who won the Hobey Baker, Johnny Gaudreau, Chris Kreider, now with
Yeah.
the Rangers. Rob Scuderi, terrific defenseman with the Penguins. And the list goes on and on. Another, Jimmy Hayes, who we lost a year ago, and his brother Kevin Hayes, playing with the Flyers. So yeah, those are names that you probably know, but there's a lot more of them.
Wow, that's awesome, and you got to, have a relationship with all those guys, and you got to coach them, which is unreal.
Right. Another one that's a terrific defenseman is Brian Dumoulin.
Yeah.
Now with the Penguins, he's been there as a starter probably for the last 10 years,
Yeah.
8 to 10 years.
Nice. I also skate with two other the Whitneys.
Oh yeah, Joe Whitney and Stevie.
Yeah, with Will O'Neill.
Oh yeah.
Will O'Neill, shout out to that guy. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Takes care of me with the skills and helps me push to another level.
Oh good.
So,
yeah, I coached with his father,
mhm.
and he coached his father coached your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get to the Final Four 2 years in a row. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot having you
All
on here,
right,
Jim
Brad.
Logue. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Episode 5 done with Jim Logue. Thanks a lot, guys. Stay tuned for the next episodes. Jim Logue here, BC Legend.